Hey folks, this is Gunner at Gunner's Garage and Rambling with the Reinhardts. I made this video about 6 or 8 months ago and have learned a lot of stuff about how not to make videos, such as don't put your phone in the portrait position, etc., etc. However, I thought I would still post it because it shows you how easy it is to replace the filters on your Dodge Ram diesel. Mine happens to be a 2021 3500 high output Cummins diesel. It's a dually, but it doesn't matter. It's pretty simple. The one filter is under the hood next to the engine, and the other one is above the rear axle. So bear with me and laugh along with the poor quality of the video. But if you take it to the dealer, they're going to charge you about $350, and it's supposed to be done every 15,000 miles. So here we go. Hello everybody. I've got my 2021 Dodge Ram 3500 here, and it's just under 15,000 miles. So I'm getting ready to replace both of the fuel filters, which I bought on Amazon from Doc's Diesel. So both filters were $89, and it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to replace these. So this is the box that the diesel filters came in right there. So let's get the truck out where we can see something and start the job. Okay, I just popped the hood and parked it where I can work on it. That diesel filter is right in there. And so this plug looks like it might be in the way, but there's a 27mm socket. Mosquitoes around here too. Okay, there is my 1 1/8 socket with my wobbly on top of the fuel filter housing. I don't have a metric socket, which I believe would be 28mm according to Doc's Diesel. But this is the equivalent, and it fits really tight. I run the long extension right next to the firewall in between this electrical connection socket, bringing it right up to the top where I can get my breaker bar on there, and then I'll change over to a ratchet. These are 1/2 inch. Okay, I've got my persuader in my hand, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this persuader in there, get this as even as I can, and pull. Well, it's moving, it's moving, it's moving, it's moving, it's moving, it's tight in there. Not ready for the ratchet. You can hear it, the rubber seal is dry. And we're pulling. Keep pulling, keep pulling. Come on, baby. There we go. There we go. All right, she's loose. I'm gonna bring this out of here and show y'all the wobbly socket that makes it possible. And now I'm going to go down there with my hand and keep turning that lid. Pull this lid out of here underneath the intake over to the side. There's the lid. Put that right here next to my cowling. And let's take a look at that. Filter should come out. Filter's coming out. Try to get the fluid not to, there's a little electrical line in the way here. Push that over to the side. And there comes my filter. I always wear gloves because this is a nasty job. But as you can see, the filter's really not that dirty, but I'm gonna change it as required. And it's got a C on top that says Cummins, but I'm going to use Doc's diesel. Okay, there's the old filter on the left and the new Doc's diesel filter on the right. The box that came in also came with the filter for the rear, which I will show you guys a little bit later after I'm done with this part. By the way, if you look at the inside right there, that's the original filter, and there's the Doc's diesel. So you're going to have to kind of turn a little bit until it sits down, because it's kind of an oval shape that snaps in at the bottom of the filter housing. And it also comes with a new O-ring, which goes, the threaded portion where the filter housing cap screws onto, this goes down just below where the threads stop on the housing. Not a bad idea to put the new one on that they supply for you. Just use a small screwdriver down here, and you can grab a hold of that O-ring, pull that O-ring right off of there, and there's the O-ring. Just don't drop your screwdriver down in between there like I did, and then you have to fish around for it. Put the new O-ring. Just be careful you don't catch it on anything while you're putting your hand down there. Put the new O-ring on, and it should end up, it's kind of stretches like a rubber band a little bit, but you need to roll it down until every side of it is down below in the groove that's just below the threads. Be careful about that. So now the O-ring is on there, and now I'm going to, there really isn't much room up top here. There's kind of this cable in the way, so I just kind of run it down underneath the intake manifold and lay it down here. It's not going to go anywhere. Reach around to the other side and then bring this up. There's actually some wiring in the way, so you're going to have to kind of push that out of the way. If you had two hands without holding a phone, you can squeeze that in there. And carefully, there's still fluid in there, so it's going to push down. So if it sets down in there and you try to turn it, it doesn't turn. It's sitting right where it needs to be. Next thing, grabbing the cover, which you should be able to get down in here. And the cover has pretty large threads, so it's going to go right on there. Till you hand tighten it. Okay. Another thing is that O-ring, you should put a little bit of diesel fuel on there so that it slides easier. Get my big persuader back out. Put that in there. And turn that until it feels comfortably tight. I don't have the torque reading for that, but I can look that up. Just remember, guys, you're using a 1/2-inch drive socket extension and breaker bar or ratchet. This needs to be tight, but do not over tighten that. Once again, I will try to get, if there is an actual torque on these, and get you that number. All right, here comes the acid test. I'm gonna start my truck. These things are supposed to be self-bleeding. So here we go. Gonna flip this around. Here we go, in the truck. Let's give her a crank here. Push the button. You heard that hesitation for a minute there? gonna let it run for a minute or two. We don't want to try to prime both filters at the same time. So when I go to the rear, the front's already primed. Hey guys, here comes the fun part. I actually think this isn't really that bad. I'm laying on a exercise mat right now. I don't have a concrete area where I can work on this, but it looks to me like this is kind of like the filter canister under the hood, but it's upside down. So I see there's a drain there. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea, or putting a pan under it. When you loosen that, a lot of diesel fuel is going to come out. So I'm going to go get a drain pan, and I'm going to get my socket and my persuader, and we're going to do this. All right, here I am under the truck, and I'm ready with my persuader. The fuel filter is right there. Let's see if I can position this camera somehow so that I don't. All right, so let's give the persuader a try here. I see that filter housing right there. The exhaust is right there. I started off on the other side and realized, all right, there it is. And because it's a straight shot, it's coming loose pretty quick. I use this what we call a breaker bar, with this 1 1/8 inch socket. It's coming loose. It's going to take a couple turns before I can turn it by hand because of that rubber O-ring. And this container here is very similar to the filter housing in the front, except slightly different. The filter is different as well. Getting there. And there's quite a few turns with that rubber O-ring still in the filter housing cap. Come on. You can actually grab a ratchet if you wanted to. At this point, I'm going to be able to turn it by hand in just a quick second, and we'll show you how this thing falls out onto the ground. One more. Let's see if I can get it to turn by hand. Now I can see the fluid wanting to come out already. I always wear rubber gloves. I may have mentioned this, but this diesel fuel or any kind of oil, there it comes. You don't want it on your skin because it can go into your bloodstream and eventually cause, and there goes all the fluid, trying to catch it all in the pan. Diesel fluid coming out. You can also drain the thing, the petcock, give it a minute or two to, there she goes. Keep it running in there. One thing you can use is what they call brake cleaner. And there it is. Trying not to get it on me. And there comes the filter. Let it drain a little bit more. You can take this and put it upside down in this pan. And it's quite a bit of fluid that came out. So the question is, where is the O-ring? And the O-ring is right on here, just like the other filter. I'll have to grab my screwdriver and take that off and put the new one on there. That's me again, ready to crawl out from under this. So guys, there is the pan I used to trap most of the diesel fluid, and you can see how much that canister actually holds. So you can see this filter. I don't know if that's, some of these look like they're charcoal activated. I think that's what this one may be, because they may come black out of the box, but I don't know. But you know, this is your 15,000 mile filter replacement, so you're supposed to do both the front and the back. There's that O-ring. That O-ring is right here, so I'm going to go get a screwdriver and pull that off. The new filter from Doc's Diesel comes with a new O-ring. It looks like there's an O-ring on the inside here as well. So when this goes back into the housing, we'll want to make sure that there's at least a little bit of diesel on there so that it can slide onto that member that's in there that this slides over. And as far as the other O-ring, we just grab our little pocket screwdriver, get it up underneath there. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand since this is my first YouTube video and I'm holding the camera at the same time. But if you didn't have that, then you can grab that O-ring. It's coming right off there, off the bottom side. And that stays. Okay, so now we want to pull the filter off of this cap, which I'm going to have to use both hands. Sorry guys, I didn't have the camera on when I was under the truck putting the new filter in, but I was kind of checking it out to see how this thing goes in. And as you can see, this thing has a couple of little cleats right here, and this actually pushes in to the filter housing, and once you snap it into the cleats, the filter stays there. There's an O-ring in here, and then on the cap there's a round little portion of the cap that actually will just press into there as you screw the cap back on. And when you tighten this thing up, it's going to seem tight, but you can feel the resistance from the rubber seal on the cap, and at some point it feels like it doesn't want to turn anymore, and that's kind of right where you stop. So I'm going to go and start up the truck, and then we'll come back and check for leaks. Always check for leaks, and if there's no leaks, you're good to go. I paid $89 on Amazon for both these filters, and if I wasn't making this movie here, then I probably could have been finished within about 20 minutes, I would say, once you gather all your tools and your materials that you need to do this correctly. Okay, here we are. Just finished putting the rear filter in there. Hit the start button. It'll probably quit at least once because there's a distance between that and the engine, but it'll restart again. Since I believe on this type of system, the fuel pushes to the engine, but then it recirculates back to the tank. Didn't even hiccup. Okay, I'm gonna check one more thing on this, and I think we're good to go. I've got this documented. Dealerships want anywhere from $300 to $350 to do this job. So if you take out the cost of the filters, even if you're using genuine filters, somebody's still getting paid $150 to do this, and they're doing it on a lift, on a hoist, and so they've got the truck up in the air when they're doing the rear filter, and there really isn't much to it. Save yourself some money. This is my first video. Excuse me if I'm kind of stumbling around, but I'm going to try to do this from an old retired guy that used to be a tech and grew up with a dad that was a tech. I'm going to try to make some different videos to help you guys do simple maintenance on your truck. By the way, guys, on a final note, if you really need the torque spec for tightening those caps on the filter housings, they are 25 foot-pounds, or you can just use the method that I went by, which is you're going to feel resistance on that rubber. It's going to sometimes make a noise like ee, ee, ee as you're turning it. Once it gets to the point where it just feels like it doesn't really want to go with that level of resistance, that's when you stop. I checked, there's no leaks. Once again, if you like my video, hit like. Not ready to subscribe to anything yet because I'm still in the process of trying to figure out how to make these videos where you want to watch them. Thanks everybody for watching.